Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 35 already of the Bao Podcast. Today, I'm very excited to introduce you to Anneleen Desmyter, the CEO of Yally. Jally is an innovative company based in Antwerp that's redefining residential land ownership with a future-focused approach. Jally's mission centers around buying homes and transforming them into energy-efficient, tenant-friendly spaces. As a forward-thinking landlord, Jally prioritizes both comfort and affordability for tenants, using smart technology to cut down on energy costs and provide an all-inclusive service through their online platform, manjally.be. So without further ado, let's dive into this conversation. Welcome, Anneleen. How is it going today?
First of all, Benjamin, thank you for the invitation.
You're very welcome.
Maybe to tell you something about myself right now, it's in fact the first podcast that I make today together with you. But I find it a huge opportunity to tell you more about, and your listeners, of course, about the Jally story. In fact, it's a story that started about 2 years ago. I'm already active for about 25 years in real estate. I started immediately in real estate after my master's degree in economics. And in the 25 years, I had the opportunity to do a lot of different things in real estate. I was a founder and a partner of Quaris. But I did about 15 years. And also I had the opportunity to be a CEO of a listed company in real estate that we brought to the stock exchange market. I did that for 7 years. So that were a lot of interesting times where I did development, where I did services, where I had contact with retail real estate, residential real estate, offices, and so on. But just before COVID, I wanted to do something else, and more with a vision to the future. And that's also the time that the story of Jally started. And in fact, about 2 years ago, I had the opportunity, together with the investors, being Think, what is an infrastructure company, and TDP. TDP is a company of Belfius and Gimf that wanted to also put their stamp on the real estate market in Belgium. And in fact, we started there to have the ambition to be a kind of landlord of the future. So what we do in Jally is that we buy residential properties, houses and apartment blocks. We transform them energetically, but also administratively. We rent them out, and we manage the buildings by ourselves today. And by purchasing and renovating these homes, specific in the city centers, we want to give more people the opportunity to live comfortably and also at the same time save on their energy bills. What is important for us, especially after 25 years of experience in real estate, is that we could do it on a more innovative way, a more efficient way than that we see in the market today. And therefore, automatization, standardization, and economies of scale are very important for us. That's, in fact, how we would like to make the difference to the future with our vision of Jally.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. I think from my perspective, I think you're really onto something, from the sense that in Belgium, renting is, I think, much smaller market than in neighboring countries. And I think there's indeed a lot of opportunity to improve the experience of renting. Is it, as you say, on the energy front, but also the entire customer journey, as you could say, from starting to move or signing something to renting, and to moving into, and to the part of really living in the building as well. So it sounds very interesting, but could you maybe say a little bit more about you talked about having these investors and what the idea was together. Like, what's the opportunity that you saw? Is it really about the energy or more about the experience or?
Well, I think the first thing the main important thing is that you always see a gap in the market. And today we are in a world of with challenges, residential and real estate challenges, but also demographic challenges and economic challenges. And what we see and what we saw is that there is a lack of affordable and high quality rental housing, like you just told. In the past, they always said that the Belgian person or Belgian family has a brick in his stomach. I don't know how you say it otherwise in English.
I think that's correct.
It's a real translation, in fact. And that they always buy their house, a house for themselves. Today we see that that's not possible anymore for everybody to buy a new house. Or a house. Today, it's about 32% of the people were renting something, and we see that those figures will only increase in the next decades. There is more and more coming some pressure on the market. Certainly because, and there are different reasons for that. First of all, I think the last 10 years, the prices of houses went up with almost 30%. And so that makes that for a lot of people, it's not possible anymore to buy the house. On the other side, we also see that on the rental market, there is some pressure at the offer of rental houses. First of all, because of the climate goals that we have for 2050, and that we see that about 95% of the houses in general do not fit to those climate goals. Only 5% fit to those climate goals.
Of all rentals in Belgium?
Of not only the rentals in general.
All homes?
All homes. Only 5% is ready for 2050. So there is a lot of work to do. And we can say that there is newly built, and there is a specific market for project developers in that market. But if you see the number of houses that needs to be renovated or changed or transformed or put down and changed by a newly built, we think that about 20 to 25% can be newly built, but then there is still about 70% of the market that needs to be renovated. And what we see today is that there are not a lot of people investing and also thinking about how to do those processes in renovation. And I think you also see that with bouwlipping on a more efficient way. And that's where we see a lot of possibilities with Jally in it. Certainly, because if you go then to the rental market, the tenants are... they are very dependent on what the owners of those houses do. Are they ready for renovation? Do they have the financial possibilities? Do they have the knowledge of renovation? Do they have the time for renovation? And so on. And what we see now is that a lot of those owners, they say, it's too much for me, it's too difficult for me, and it's now the time to sell the apartment block and to find somebody else to do it for us. We see that there is more and more need for institutional parties and professional parties to do those renovations on an efficient way, to do those renting out on a more professional way. And that's why we started with Jally. That's also the reason why we have chosen the name Jally. Want we say it maybe more in French, but it's in fact an English name. It's how do you say it? Putting together your ally. What means?
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. There is a.
Yeah.
It has more. How can you say it?
There's a certain meaning behind it.
Yeah, meaning in the word than a lot of people know, but it's in fact we see us as an ally for people who have houses and that they rent out, but today they don't see it anymore with all the obligations they have with the for the climate changes. We see also that we can be an ally for tenants because we can offer them more energy-friendly houses, more comfortable houses. We also see that we can be an ally for new companies with innovative techniques in construction. And we see ourselves also as a kind of ally to governments. Because when we renovate those houses in the city centers, it also makes the city more attractive and more ready for the climate goals of 2050. So we have a lot of reasons why we found the name Jally very good for us and for our goals.
Yeah, now that you explain it, it's a great name. Okay, and then so you have two main customers, you could say, in the sense that you also buy these old buildings then from people who basically want to get rid of them because they don't want to spend the time or don't have the knowledge or don't have the energy to do the renovation part.
Indeed.
And as a partner, as an ally for renters, in the sense that you make the renting easier, but also the energy is a big aspect, right?
Yes. So, like I just told, we are not investing or not directly investing in greenfields. In fact, we invest in brownfields. This means that we look to existing real estate or projects where you demolish the existing real estate and that you transform it with newly built. But always brownfields, no greenfields.
So you don't build anything new?
Only in the thing, they demolish an existing building.
Right.
Well,
okay,
because in some occasions it's not possible anymore to renovate on a strategically or a future-proof way. We do that because of the reasons of circularity, indeed. If you have a good structure, certainly at good locations, and we do the renovations energetically, then we do, first of all, we do the facade, the windows, the roof, the big or the main transformers, in fact, in energy, and maybe even the easiest one. But if you see that, for instance, today, of the houses that are rented, 48% still don't have a roof that is isolated.
No. Half of them?
Half of them.
Just even, wooden structure and tiles on top of it?
Yeah. Even when it's...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
In Belgium?
In Belgium. Even when it's more... the regulations are more severe, becoming more and more severe for that. We see that there is so many work to do in the market. And for us, for that reason, we always start with the roof, the facades, and the windows, because that is the
easy wins
part to make the difference.
And after doing those things, the energy bill already drops with like 30-40%. I don't know. I'm just saying something. Yeah.
Secondly, we look to the techniques. Heating is today a big topic in Belgium. There, we have to say that there is still a long way to go, because also the tax on electricity is very, very high in Belgium. And while we don't want gas today, for a lot of people, it's the most affordable solution.
Not only in purchase price, but also in running.
The running cost. We have the heating pump as a new technique, but it also has a lot of influence. It's also the cost of it. It's not only the cost of buying a heating pump, but all the consequences that are in the building. For instance, the shafts need to be big enough. There must be a floor heating, or you then need to have other convectors. So it has a lot of. There we are more from the principle that the technique that you have today, that we keep it as long as we can. And the moment that we have that it's out of time, that we change it at that moment. Certainly because we want to, we believe a lot in the heating nets that will be installed by a lot of big cities.
What are the most promising of those projects? Because I know I live in Antwerp now for 10 years, and I know back when they started building the New South, that they were saying we're gonna bring the remaining heat from the part of Antwerp towards the New South, and then we can use that heat for the heating of the buildings. But it's 10 years now, and it's still the big thing at the highway.
Yeah, indeed. There are a lot of challenges for government for that, but it's a technique that will have a future, that's for sure. If I go further on that, you have the techniques, then you have the interior design. For us, it's not our first goal to change the interior design, because also out of the point of affordability of the apartments, not everybody wants to have a new kitchen or a new bathroom. It needs to be affordable. So there also we do kind of out of point of circularity, end of lifetime, we change it, and we like the same colors as you. The green, it's much nicer, much nicer than white. So I would say the Bao living kitchen is a perfect example of an Yally apartment, in fact.
Okay.
It's always interesting, and also for our tenants, they like nice apartments. It's not a house, but a home that we want to give them. Mm-hmm. And for that reason, if we do the change in the interior design, we make it really top. It really needs to be a home for the people.
Right. So if you buy a new building, if I understand it correctly, you buy a home and then you do the necessary exterior renovations to make it energy efficient, if those aren't in place.
Yes.
And then you're going to look, all right, for the heating, if the installations that are there are still working, you're not going to replace them immediately. You're just going to see, maybe they've been renovated 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And the same for the interior. And when need comes, you're going to update it, and then you make it from a house to a home.
Yes, indeed. But we do much more than that.
Okay.
What we see is that, for instance, in a lot of buildings that you see on the market, there are a lot of administrative things that still need to be put
in place.
We see a lot of things, for instance, permits, confirmation attesting. That is not good, and that's more safety of the people in the house, fire safety, electrocutation, and all those things, they become more and more important also. And that's for us really a goal to put those things at 100%. The safety of our people of the people in the buildings are very, very important. And there is a lot of work in that also. So it's the energy efficiency that we look to. It's the administrative, the regulations for the permits and so on, and the fire safety and so on, and the general safety of the people in the house. That's for us very, very important. That's the Olympic minimum, like we say. And a very important thing also is not only the technical stuff on the building, but also the technological stuff.
Okay.
For Jally and his tenants. We are not only a real estate company. We might say that we are also kind of platform company.
That's the manjally.be.
That's manjally.be is just a part of it.
Okay.
It's much broader, much bigger than that. So we are also building a kind of platform. It's an ICT platform, like you say. And it starts, of course, with a kind of tenant-friendly issues, for instance, and it starts with the first, at the first moment that a potential tenant has contact with Jally, he can have contact by our platform in his own language. So if somebody of Ukraine is coming to us and he wants to rent an apartment, he can ask the most important things or questions that he have in his own language.
Wow, that's via AI or something.
That's Google Translate, AI, all those things. But we find it very important because those people, they come from abroad. They don't know the Belgian legislation. They don't know, often they don't know French or English, and we can talk to them in their own language. For us, it's also an advantage because we do it on a digital way. We don't have phones anymore on our offices.
Really? There's no number any tenant can call?
Of course we have one, but it's one number. No, we don't have. Our people, they only have mobile phones. We don't have other phones.
Okay.
And the reason why is that if I tell you about the Ukraine guy, and he contacts us by phone, it takes for him a lot of work to ask his questions, and also for my people, it's a lot of work to explain everything in a language that is not their mother tongue. Mm-hmm. And by doing it on a digital way in their own languages, we can have a much more customer intimacy in the story of Jally than we do it on the old school way. And that's
also
the reason
already
why
makes them feel a little bit more home.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And also when they have to, it starts with the first questions that they have. We do the contract signing on a digital way. If they are in the apartment, we help them, and we do also help them, for instance, what is very important is that people are not put out of their houses. Often it is because they didn't pay the rent. And also in that process, we try to manage the process, that they have all the possibilities, of course, to pay. And that putting them out of the house is the last thing we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the platform that also helps us with that. If there is something broken in the apartment, also the platform gives the first answers and helps the people and our people to have the necessary information to make a reparation as quick as possible. And
that's a platform you also developed internally.
Yes, it's with artificial intelligence indeed, but we work on it for 2 years already, and I can say it's really fantastic. It's not only fantastic for our tenants, but also for us. Our way of working in-house can be much more standardized, automated,
very lean.
Yeah, lean way in that, very efficient. So that we are also ready. Today we have a portfolio of about 150 homes. At the end of the year we want to have 200. And in the future maybe thousands homes or apartments. And then for that reason it's also very important to do it lean. But also important to have data.
Mm-hmm.
Data, who is our tenant? What is the...
Right, yeah.
Where do people want to live? What is the price that they prefer to pay? Is there more need for 1-bedroom apartments or 2-bedroom apartments? And so on and so on. So we have we are collecting a lot of data from our tenants. We know, for instance, today that we have 27 nationalities in our portfolio. But also collecting data for energy.
I'm surprised. 27 nationalities on 150 homes.
Yeah.
Whoa. So that's...
But sometimes in a home are 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
So we are now we are housing about maybe 300 to 400 people.
Whoa, that's very diverse. Yeah, I can imagine all the different languages.
Yeah.
It becomes very difficult very quickly. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And the ambition really is to go to thousands of homes.
Yeah. So, like I told you, we have our investors, and in a first phase, they already reserved about 120 million euros to invest in the Belgian residential market, to make more comfortable houses and where the total cost of living is under control, in fact. And that total cost of living, you also know that with the crisis of the last 2 years, that is very, very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people were very surprised when Russia invaded Ukraine.
Yeah.
These things do still happen, and the economic consequences are quite severe.
Yeah. In fact, we started with Jally just before.
Oh, really?
And the first goal for Jally was the climate changes for 2050. But then there was, in fact, the energy crisis as a result of Ukraine. And then the story of Jally was even more a hype, I can say, because a lot of people were in their house paying a bill of 700 euros for their heating, and that's even the price to rent an apartment. So then it goes double up. So it was very, very. There was a lot of demand for solutions like Jally.
And then how does it work for Jally in that case? If that happens again and you have thousands of homes, and You still have a specific part. You still have a part of the portfolio that's going to be on gas, for example.
But gas is, we have to be honest, gas is today still one of the best solutions, but it's not the most energy-friendly solution. And there, I think the government needs to change things. And hopefully we have a government quite soon in Belgium, and that they can do the changes that have to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you also do you buy the, for example, the small percentage of the Yally portfolio that still is on gas, you buy the gas contract as a whole?
Yeah, we do economies of scale, but if we still have gas, we buy green gas. Huh?
Right,
huh?
Yeah. But then
green energy.
Yeah.
So that is very important. Because we always, it's the balance that we need to find between energy efficiency and energy-friendly solution, but also the affordability of solutions. You cannot be best in class in both of them, even not Yally. We cannot do that as well. But what is our goal is to have the best equilibrium between those two. What is the best solution for a tenant, taking into account an affordable house and an energy-friendly house? That's the same if you say newly built will maybe be always more energy-friendly than an existing building, but the price of newly built is above 4,000 euros per square meter. And that's not affordable for a lot of people for buying. And it's not affordable for a lot of people in a tenant solution neither. So we are looking more for solutions that are 20% cheaper than
best in class.
Than best in class. Than the most energy-friendly solutions.
Mm-hmm.
So that is very important, and I think it's that those two are still in balance. Taking into account our customer, because if you don't think in the head of the customer, I think you're not relevant in the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. Is the ambition beyond Belgium?
There's still a lot of work in Belgium. There is still a lot of work in Belgium. Let us first have the 1,000 houses in Belgium and of homes, and then we will talk further.
Mm-hmm. And it's Flanders, Brussels, and Wallonia, or?
We started in Flanders because we believe that the market then is more maybe out of investors' point of view, that the market in Flanders is a very healthy market, and that the legislation in Flanders is also less volatile than, for instance, in Brussels. Today, it's for people investing in Brussels, and you have a government that says people don't have to pay anymore their rent between October and March because it's cold outside and you cannot put people
on the street.
On the street. We understand that, but we see also that a lot of people are taking their advantage or are not, they are of bad will.
Misusing the system,
Yeah, they are using the system, and that's, of course, not the goal. We always say, and that's very important for Yally, our motto is a little bit that we say, we buy good bricks on... that are that we can make future-proof on good locations with very good mobility scores, this transportation and shops in the neighborhood. So we buy good bricks. We want to be a good landlord, and we do a lot for our tenants. We want to be. We want to do long-term investments, but also in the return, we find it very important that if what we do, everything for our tenants, that we also have tenants that are good for us. And a tenant that is good for us is a tenant that is happy in his house, in his home, but that also respects the other tenants in the building, that has respect for the bricks that are over there, and also somebody, when he is well done, that he pays the rent correct. That's of course
it works in
a
both
win-win.
ways. Yeah.
It needs to work in both ways.
Yeah, no, of course. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You can have all the good intentions in the world, but if we go back to the mijnjally.be platform, is that something that you would ever consider to also make available for other landlords? Or is it something that you say, no, we invested in it, it's something that we did for us? I mean, I understand from both perspectives. Just something that popped in my mind.
Well, for us, it's we see it as a really important future investment for Yally, but we see ourselves also as a kind of catalyst in the sector. And the moment we are ready for it, why not to put it open for other people? Why not? Certainly because we believe that this is a part of the future.
Yeah, no, I think if it can have a positive impact and it can help other organizations, and it can also be a win for Yally. Indeed, why not?
Yeah, and I might say that like I'm already 25 years in real estate, I've seen a lot. I met a lot of interesting people, a lot of interesting companies, but I also see a lot of still possibilities in the sector. We talk about technology or more platform, ICT, but also in other ways of construction, we see a lot of possibilities. And I've seen that you already did an interview or also a podcast with, for instance, the people of Circle. That is a basics company, and we did also a project with them. For instance, we bought an existing apartment block, and there was still there was a kind of bicycle storage of 35 square meters that was not anymore future-proof. We demolished that piece, and together with the people of Circle, we built a house of 135 square meters on a plot of land of 35 square meters in 2 months' time.
Wow.
And we believe a lot in the off-site construction also, because, for instance, for the neighborhood, we didn't had a lot of noise and dust while constructing the thing.
Less
because
transport as well,
because in 5 days time, the raw construction was already there.
Yeah, that's great.
Also for the mayor of that city, he was very surprised when he went on holiday, and when he came back, there was a new house on a real brownfield for him. So it made his the attraction just in front of a school of the street much more wow. And also for our investors, it is very important because we won about 16 months of rent by doing an off-site construction. Instead of 18 months of construction, we did it. It was realized in 2 months' time. So also in that way, we want to analyze solutions in construction that are much more effective. And it's needed, I think. If you and the people of there are a lot of studies made by McKinsey. They do every year a kind of study in the efficiency of certain sectors, and then you see that maybe you know the study. If you see that construction is there's only 1%.
Efficiency improvement?
Efficiency improvement. And if you compare it with the car industry, or you compare it with the mobile phone industry, or and so on, it's nothing. So we really need to work on that on the efficiency.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in that study, construction was like second last, right above hunting.
Yeah.
It's like the problem is that construction in Belgium is like, I think, the biggest industry, and hunting is like nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
So I also sometimes think that it's because the feedback loops are so long in construction. Like if you do a project, from the moment that you buy something in a traditional way, from the moment you buy a piece of land, you get your permit, you have it built, and you can do the end evaluation. 4 or 5 years is not an exception.
Yeah.
So that's something that we always try to do. We take a very product-focused approach to construction.
Yeah.
And we took a lot of inspiration of these industries like phones, like digitization. And that feedback loop is something that we really try to shorten as much as possible.
We also believe in it.
Yeah.
And that's the same. If you're talking about permits, in fact, if you're in a city center, most of the width of the houses,
the width
of the houses is about 5.5 meters, 6 meters. And the regulation also says that you can build X meters deep. So in fact, why do we always need a new permit if the volume that you can build is almost the same?
Or a new architectural plan, or absolutely.
And I think we still lose a lot of time in that. We are not lobbyists, but we for instance, did quite a little bit of lobby work. For instance, that there is no permit anymore needed for energy improvements to the facade if it's not built on the line, the Rooilijn. Because it takes so much time, but it's also the cost of the permit. It's about 30 or 40% of the total budget when people want to isolate their facade. So it's a bit crazy. It's better to put that costs in the improvement of the building.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's something that we really struggle with at times as well. We have a lot of projects where we've designed SAMs and we've made a quote, and then it takes years sometimes to get the permits. And there's so many permits and just more and more permits, and it's difficult to get some of them to go away again, while sometimes they're just no longer logical.
Yeah. And we might say that at Yally, we avoid permits.
Okay.
We don't need them anymore because there is a permit for the building. Now that we don't need a permit anymore for the facades. The windows you can change, the roof you can change, the interior design you can change without a permit. So for that reason, we can go quite fast. And that's also the reason why we are not afraid of buying a building with 5 apartments in Antwerp. If we buy every month 5 units, we have in small buildings, we have 50 or 60 units at the end of the year. And a lot of project developers, they are waiting 3 to 8 years to have a building permit for 50 units. So that's also the reason, if we want to think big, that we also have to think about the avoiding
details,
permits.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you sometimes buy flats inside a building, but don't buy the whole building?
No.
Yeah, because then you can't do the renovation.
That's an official no-go for us, especially because we need to be boss in the house if we want to make some
adjustments, improvements.
Speed, in fact, in the renovation and in the improvements and so on. Voila.
Something that I also have noticed is like these, we actually already discussed it, but like these small family offices kind of things, or like small real estate holdings of people, older generations who bought some real estate, and then the children sometimes don't want to take ownership over it, and
for them we are really
I can imagine. I can really imagine.
I might even say that most of our the people that sell something, a building or a real estate company to us, because we also buy companies with real estate in it. Most of those people are plus 70 years old. And for them, it's very important that they have a party like Jally that they can trust, and that gives them, a mental rest.
That they know that the buildings that they've taken care of for so long are also going to be taken care of. That
is being looked after, but also that their tenants can stay in the building. That we don't put those people on the street, but if there is somebody who lives already for 20 years in the building, that he can stay there with Jally. Even if we do the renovation, we do it on a way that the tenants have the minimum of negative effects on it. And if it's very large in renovation, we can even give them solutions in other buildings that we have in the same city center.
How do you find those people?
Well, a very good question. And in fact, there are two things.
Okay.
We are very streetwise.
Okay, that helps.
In the sense that we know what lives on the street and so on. But secondly, Jally is not a story of us, the people that are working today at Jally. It's also a story of partnerships, of working together with people who have the same goals as us. And every day we are looking for partners, suppliers, and so on, who believe that we can change a brick for the future.
Yeah.
And it's so we have good partnerships with people who know those peoples, but we are also looking for partnerships with people, like in construction people, with innovative companies like Bao Living and so on.
With how many people are you now? At the
Lean and mean.
Lean and mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Less than 10.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes, but it's lean and mean. That's why we invest a lot in the platform. And we invest a lot in our team because it's, I think even it's the most important thing to do is that we are acquiring a portfolio of future-proof real estate, of real estate that we can make future-proof. We are building on a platform, but on the same time, it's very, very important to build on a good team. And it's how you say, you're as strong
as your weakest link. Yeah.
as your weakest link. And for that, we are looking for people with an entrepreneurial spirit. We are looking for people who are open to do so, to think about and to analyze situations, and not only working on the way they used to work, and that was probably also a good way of working, but how can we do better, and how can we take lessons learned from other sectors into the real estate sector.
Yeah, I think that's very important, especially considering what we just discussed about the lack of efficiency.
Yeah.
I think there's so much to be learned from, just what we look at like mass production.
Yeah.
Like everything has become so much cheaper in the last decades. If you like clothing, you name it, cars, planes, flights, basically everything, except for building.
Yeah.
And I always make the reference, people who have listened to a lot of episodes already know what I'm going to say, but imagine if you would buy a car and they would come assemble it on your driveway. How much more expensive would that be? How much would be wrong with that car?
Yeah.
And we accept that that's the way it goes with our home, which is the biggest purchase we make in our life. So it's very strange.
Yeah, that's true. And we have, in fact, we have the same spirit. You can, it's not because it was good in the past that it's good for the future. And it's very important that we
keep thinking about ways to improve.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anneleen, we are approaching roughly an hour. I was wondering, is there anything about the Yally story that you would still like to communicate to our audience before we maybe shift to a couple more personal questions? That's how we are in the habit to close off one of these podcasts. Anything you still want to convene to the audience? Any requests?
What I just told you before, I think it's we believe in our story. We believe that it is that there's real need for it in Belgium, maybe also in other parts of the world, but we will start in Belgium with Jally. And we are still open to work with good partners, good collaborators, employees, team members, and or maybe people who want to sell their apartment blocks. So we are really open. It's we are a very open company on all the different segments, in fact.
Okay.
And that's the only way to be a catalyst in this sector. It's a home is one of the most important things. It's a basic need of everybody.
Absolutely. And it's for me, like a couple of years ago, I was going through a site that we were doing in Brussels of 20 flats.
Yeah.
And I was walking through the building and all of a sudden it hit me like, my God, like what we do, we can, for Bao specific, that we can define the interior of a home.
Yeah.
And I just realized there are like maybe 2 products that people interact with more than the inside of their home and their kitchen and their bathroom, and it's maybe the phone and the laptop, right? But your home and the space that you live in, it defines a lot of the day-to-day experience of people.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And
so
the luck of somebody,
it's an honor to be able to work on it, I think.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, so if someone is listening and they're like, I want to get rid of these apartment blocks, Jally.be, Jally.be, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, wonderful. Then, as I mentioned, we have a couple more random questions or more personal questions that we are in the habit of finishing off with. If you could have a drink with anyone, dead or alive, does someone come to mind for you?
Well, yesterday I thought I had a question before, and I was thinking about it. And taking into account U.S. elections tonight, I was saying, maybe the next president of the U.S. Not because I have a certain sympathy for one of the other, but I think those elections are very important to know what will happen into the future. I think the world economics is on a crucial phase today. At this hour, it's already known who is the next president. I don't know if that's my answer. It's still the answer I would give. But what I would say is one of the world leaders I would like to drink with it, not for the person, but really to have their vision on the future. That's also the reason why I would always take somebody who is still alive. Nevertheless, I think I see a lot of people every day that are not famous or not powerful, but that have a magic story that interests me. And I even find that more important than whatever other famous person that I don't know by myself. I think there are a lot of people with an interesting story, and it even doesn't need to be a big story.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful answer. Any book recommendations to the audience?
Well, I say I'm currently in my book phase. I find it lovely to read a book on Sunday afternoon. The only thing that I learned is not to buy huge books anymore with a lot of pages, but trying to find a book that I can read out in one Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
And I like a lot of management books. The book that I would suggest is not a book that I've read recently. It's more a book that had influence on my life and also influence on the story of Yally. And it's, in fact, the book, The 4-Hour Workweek of Timothy Ferriss. I don't know if you know the book.
I know the book, and I've listened to the guy a lot. He has a great podcast.
Yeah, indeed. And in fact, it's not that I'm looking to work only 4 hours a week as from tomorrow, but it's more the thought that you think about your input and the output that you realize. And that's all the story also of Yally. How can we make or work more efficiently? How can we do things more efficiently and so on? And that's what we're looking for. And that's also for me, if I look to my future, at a certain moment, I want to be, how can I say, not necessary anymore for anybody, but still giving added value. And that's, for me, a very important thing, is that you don't hang to a certain position or so on, but that you can give all your knowledge and information to the next generation, but that you are still available to give some added value to those people.
Mm-hmm. To constantly make yourself redundant.
Indeed, indeed.
Okay, then I think this is a great time to close it off. I would like to thank you very much.
You also, thank you very much for the opportunity.
It was very interesting to hear the story of Yally. It's still quite a young and for now not that old of a story, but the ambition, it seems quite big, and I'm quite surprised to see that the mission itself is also very much linked to what we do, because it's also about making construction more affordable and more sustainable.
So it's meant to be that we work together in the future, Benjamin.
I hope so. We are definitely open to see what would be possible on that front. But even if that would not be the case, I think it's a great work that you are doing. And I'm very curious to see how it's going to evolve. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much as well.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Bao Podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe to our channel. If you're interested in Bao Living in our Smart Adaptable Module or SAM, go check out our website baoliving.com. If you want to stay up to date, you can best subscribe to our monthly newsletter on our website or follow us on all social media platforms where we're named @BaoLiving.